Christopher Spera, and this is the iTechGear Weekly, episode number 119, Getting Tired of the Merry-Go-Round. Recorded live Sunday, January 26, 2025, live from iTechGear Central. As I said, I'm Christopher Spera, the editor-in-chief over here at the iTechGear.org site, and we have one of the missing couple of hosts back in the studio this week.
Our wanderers are wandering back in.
Yes.
I am a wanderer.
Yes. And I'm a wanderer. And I'm around it. Yeah, never mind. All right.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, I know. It was the
we lost our viewer again. We lost our listener again.
Lost our viewer.
Thanks.
Crap.
Damn it.
Damn it. All right, so the guy that was missing, of course, who's back, the former contributing writer from Gear Diary, and currently the host of the Linux Link Tech Show, and of course living in the Retro Arcade podcast, Brother Joe McLaughlin. Welcome back, sir.
Glad to be back.
Awesome,
Glad to be
awesome.
back.
Awesome. And of course we are dulcet toned this week. Of course, that's the other voice there was the former contributing editor over at Gear Diary and Pocket Now, no, defunct Pocket Now. Brief silence. I'm going to do that one for a while because I helped start that site.
Oh my goodness.
I know. Of course, and also editor with Brother Joel here at iTechGear.org, Mr. Chris Gavula. How are you, sir?
Oh, we're doing pretty well. It's not freezing quite as badly as earlier this week, but you know,
very true.
We're hanging in there. We're hanging in there.
Oh, we're swinging. You betcha.
Well, somebody ought to, I suppose.
For all the crap that goes on around here, usually me, Eric. Anyway.
Oh my goodness.
Well, of course, you know who really should be swinging from a yard arm.
Oh, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, I know it. Well, the UK's competition regulator, because they're investigating. I mean, you can't get off. Excuse me. You can't get off that damn merry-go-round.
You can't get off the merry-go-round. You know,
honest
it's so true.
Right. No, UK's competition regulator is investigating Apple and Google again.
Yeah, I guess we're getting. This is a never-ending thing. You know, between the UK and the EU trying to. I don't know what they're trying to do with these companies. I don't know if they're trying to get their slice. If they're it's always somebody who thinks that these guys are operating in a nefarious manner, and they've got to investigate, and regulate. And we do it here too in the U.S. I don't want to cut us out from attempting to do it here either, but I'm getting
right?
But I'm getting exhausted with all of these guys. And this round and round and round. It's like every time they finish one investigation, they open another investigation. And there's nothing new here. That's what gets me. There's nothing new that they're looking at.
Well, I think, no, there is you're absolutely right. According to the article that we're citing in our show notes from Apple Insider, this is basically, United Kingdom's competition regulator is looking again at Apple and Google with the CMA assessing these quote-unquote strategic market status of the two companies in mobile ecosystems, wanting to know if they have too much sway in the market.
Yeah.
Kids, it's a duopoly. There's only two operating systems. Two. All right? You can count them on two fingers. Go ahead. Count them.
Two.
No, one, two. One, and then two. Anyway, the point is, you've only got two choices, all right? From an operating system perspective, all right? It's their platform. You want to play on that platform, you pay to play. All right? It's a pay to play.
You do and you don't, but let's face it, the third options aren't very good.
There are no third options. There are no standardized. There is no standardized third option. There was.
Well, and I think
on Windows Phone,
and I get where Joel's going, but the thing that makes a platform viable is apps. Right. Okay, yep. I need my bank app. I need my, and yes, web apps can cover some of it, but really not enough. I'm sorry, it just can't. Not on a mobile device.
And that's originally what Steve Jobs wanted for Apple, was just web apps.
He did.
All right. Didn't want applications at all. Web apps.
And it was a bad idea.
They quickly found out that they could not sustain the device
Correct.
on just web apps. You had to have something more. All right, now
Yeah.
unless they're talking about all of the the pay to play aspect of this. In other words, how big of a cut does each company take from a developer who submits an application to their stores? All right, which is getting. I mean, there's so much dust on that
Yeah.
particular complaint. I mean, they need to get over it. All right.
I'm getting real exhausted from this
I'm getting
circle of,
real exhausted from
and
this. I mean,
they're not really making anything better for anybody. That's the sad thing. None of the
no,
things
they
that they've
aren't.
done have improved life for, end users. And that would theoretically be the goal of these organizations. And if there was some clearly obvious harm happening here that needed to be corrected, I'd be on board with this. But I see no
End users
clearly
are not
stated
harmed
harm
by
at
any of the
all.
situations
And
that are
here's the
being
thing,
experienced at all.
these are platforms that have been created, they're saying things in this article like, oh well, they're trying to see if there's influence by these platform holders on things that are going on. Well, it's their platform. I would
Of
hope there
course,
is
there's
influence.
influence. I would hope that there would be.
I would hope there would be too, because okay, every time they add a new API or remove an API, yeah, it's going to have an impact on things. No question, no question. But the question really should be not is there influence, and it should be, is the influence that they're exerting having a negative impact? And they've gone over
On
this
consumers,
on
not
consumers,
on application
not
developers,
or,
on
right.
consumers.
And they've gone down this path multiple times already, and we keep cycling back. And I think this article even mentions, we did this a few years ago. They pulled back when they realized there really wasn't a benefit to looking into this, and now they're back again because they can control. They can actually exert some control over this now.
Right. The
Yeah.
legislation has been passed in the UK that it gives them the actual power to make changes. And that's why they're chasing.
And I've said this before, and I would say this to both Apple and Google. Look, if these guys get, turn really cruddy on you, and right now, in the UK, Google has more of a market lead than Apple does. So maybe that means they're higher at risk. I'm not sure. But the bottom line is, I would say to both of them, you know what?
Close the store.
Pull out of it. Just say, I'm done with this. I guarantee you it won't last if you do that.
Oh, I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree that if they were to
just
go
say
ahead
no,
and say,
we're done.
You know what? We're closing the store. All right.
Yeah, we're done.
We're done. All right. There is no European or UK Apple store anymore.
And if they're not hitting these two, they're hitting Microsoft. And again, well, I'm not saying none of this is ever deserved, but let's face it, the last time it went after Microsoft, it was all after the whole gaming merger thing, and it was complete nonsense that time around.
Absolutely. If they want to go ahead and ensure that there's an appropriate level of competition in the mobile market, make Apple and Google fund a third option.
Well, and
until it gets up on its feet, and it's able to handle its own affairs and generate its own income, et cetera, et cetera.
Well,
have them subsidized.
I'm not even sure that'll work.
Well, and I'm understanding what they say about Apple, but not so much about Google, because you can always sideload another app store like F-Droid for.
But that isn't even their complaint. Their complaint is about larger undue influence in the marketplace.
Right.
It's broader than that.
So can you define?
Sure about that either.
And Google has the bigger market share.
Can define undue influence.
All
right.
But here's what I kind of go with what you're saying a little bit, except I would take it even wider than that. The problem is, you have to ask yourself the question, can you go with a third platform, and could it possibly take off? Even if they help subsidize it for a while, they might have to do it forever because it may never take off. And then where are you? Because look at what happened with the ton of money that originally, anyway, that Microsoft pumped into this. They backed away too fast. If somebody that as big as them can't make a third party launch in this stuff, or keep a third party going, because Microsoft really had the lead if you get right down to it.
They did have the lead back in the day. They did. The problem was, and I've said this multiple times.
Well, it's Microsoft's
Ballmer
fault.
didn't want to invest money in it because he didn't understand it.
He didn't understand it. But I think that at the end of the day, I'm not sure. So if you say, oh, well, they have to fund a third, who are they going to fund? Who are they going to fund?
They would have right now.
Who could
there
possibly
isn't a
launch?
third candidate. There
And
is not a
again,
third candidate right now.
but again,
that's what I'm saying. Make them create and fund a third candidate.
I guess what I'm saying is, even if they did that,
yeah,
that was never the problem. I mean, at the end of the day, the Microsoft problem really came down to apps. So how are you going to get apps to this third-party platform that neither Apple nor Google really would want to even be there in the first place? How are you going to get third-party apps to go there? I don't know. I don't know. I just don't see it really being viable. So, I mean, these things kind of have, in order for any of these things to succeed and for anything to come out, it has to offer something unique that you can't already get, because otherwise, why would you bother shifting?
Well, based on that statement alone, all right, there's never ever going to be another choice. There will never be a third choice.
But some people have argued that there's a reason that it settled back to 2, as opposed to being 3 or 4 or 5, because it was 3 or 4 or 5 at one point.
It was definitely 3. But
and markets tend to do this. They tend to merge toward monopolism. They just tend to do that. That's the nature of
that's
free
the nature
markets.
Of capitalism, isn't it?
And free markets,
everybody's fighting until they're on top.
I think the fact that we have a duopoly is kind of better than I expected, because I really kind of thought that eventually we'd land on just one and that be it.
Well,
but it didn't happen that way.
The only difference here is the only reason why I think the duopoly works is, one, because there's only one iPhone and Apple won't license iOS.
No, and they shouldn't.
Right.
By the way, I would argue they shouldn't.
They won't license iOS. All right.
Right.
Whether they should or they shouldn't is beside.
Yeah. No, we don't have to go on that path. But you're right.
All right. But on the Android side, Android does license the OS, and there's a bajillion different hardware manufacturers out there. So from a feature perspective, from a form factor perspective, from a hardware perspective, there are multiple choices from multiple vendors. All right. Like Joel said a few moments ago, all right, you can there's the Google Play Store. All right. And then there's probably you can sideload just about any other app from any other developer.
Yeah.
All right.
But if you look at the reality, that's not what's happening. In the real world, there's only very few people doing those things. The larger more people don't do that.
That's true.
And that's fine. And I would argue again that with these two players, the markets are relatively evenly divided across most of the world.
According to the article.
Mostly. And the only place they're a little bit odd right now really is probably China. But China it does have another player in the mix now these days.
Harmony OS from
Huawei, and whatnot, which may or may not be doing very well. It's hard to know. Well, it's gonna be interesting to see how that plays out, because Huawei's making some questionable hardware at this point, but we'll see how this turns out for them. But that's neither here nor there. The point is, in most of the world, the players are relatively evenly matched. And as long as it stays that way, you have competition. You don't have to stay on a platform. You don't have to stay where you are.
According to Star Counter, all right, in the UK, iOS has 47.7% of the market, all right, and Android is at 51.9.
Yeah, and in the US, we know it's roughly flip-flopped, roughly
flip-flop, but it's about the same.
But it's about the same. They're both hanging around the 50% market, roughly.
Right, so they're about halfway through, right? I mean, they both got half as much as the other.
But again, you have to in order to get a third market in there, you have to overcome the hurdle of getting people off the platform they're on. And you have to offer something compelling. Otherwise, they're not going to do it.
Which is why I'm saying, it would
just
be
funding a third one isn't going to do it.
Well, it would be interesting if they were required. I don't know how well this would work, but it would be interesting if the courts required them to collaborate together to create the third one, to put it out there, and then fund it for 10 years. All right.
Right.
And then see what happens. All right. So they created together.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Joel.
I was going to say, and I don't see the European market being strong enough to actually enforce this.
I'm with you.
I mean,
maybe not, but something.
It's interesting.
Or this just has to stop. All right,
I think it just has to stop, because I think, how much money do Google and Apple spend every year trying to
Billions.
defend these silly things.
Billions of dollars.
I mean,
I would assume.
wouldn't
Or
it be
hundreds
nice?
of millions
Wouldn't
at
it
the
be nice
least.
if that money could go to something more productive than paying lawyers?
Yep.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Life in and of itself would be a whole lot better if it didn't have to go to lawyers to stop the bickering.
Well, we've all said that many times, haven't we? Now,
Yeah,
That's true.
Considering the lawyers that are in Congress,
You know.
but
we did have some good news this week, didn't we?
Did.
Oh, we
and-
do coming. I should say.
coming. Yes,
it
it should
depends
be
on
happening.
depends on your point of view. But
Yeah,
yeah.
fair enough.
It should be happening. It should be happening next week. Apple is expected to release
18.3.
iOS 18.3 this
Ah.
week. So, Joel, what is up with that?
So they're gonna have notification summary changes.
Which is
That'll
kind of
throw
cool. If
people.
you've been on the beta at all, what it will do is effectively group all of the notifications from a single app together, and then go ahead and in a
That only makes sense.
summarization notification, if you will, give you a couple sentences or a compound sentence on all the stuff that's in the stack.
But we've had that in 18.2, didn't we? It's 18.3 is removing some of that from the news app. That was one of the things in 18.3
Yeah.
because of the problems with the news app that they've had.
Yeah. So,
Right.
And the
so this is at least
summarizations.
coming from an OS perspective. This should be all the way around, and those are kind of nice
that'd be
because
nice.
I can look at that one summarized notification, and is there something in there that I want to look at? Tap on it.
Right.
If not, based on the summary, get rid of them all.
So what else we got coming in 18.3?
Then they got
I'm running the beta.
visual intelligence upgrades. I assume that's
Mhm.
going to be an iPhone 16, 15 only thing. I probably won't see any of these because I'm on iPhone 13. I can switch early or get a new phone early from corporate
Ah,
if I switch to T-Mobile,
So-
but they're doing iPhone 13.
so
still.
I will say on the 16 where you have the camera button, if you
Right.
point it at something and you push and hold the camera button,
Right.
you get the ask button or there's something out there's I forget the other side. You get an ask thing on the screen and you get a like a description thing on the screen. Anyway, like this. So if you point a picture at something, one of the choices you can have it can do a Google search for other pictures that are like what you're looking at,
Okay.
for example, or you can
Or
ask it about
identify
what you're seeing. Yeah, ask it about what
Right.
you're seeing.
Right.
So it's really quite clever. I mean, as far as that goes, but again, this is not anything we weren't expecting and didn't see before coming.
Right.
Right.
And the other one's kind of even more boring is calculator and app enhancement. Okay.
Well, that's actually a good one for those of us who use the calculator. That's actually kind of a
Yes.
good one because
Yeah.
one of the problems you were having before was when the calculation ended and you hit equals, it kind of just stopped. Now you can hit it
Right.
multiple times and sort of repeat the.
No, you could do
For-
that. You could do that before. It
No,
did that before.
no. That's what I'm saying. But they removed it. It was gone from 18.
Okay.
It was gone. They took it away. Now they put it back,
Okay.
which is the exciting thing. They put it back
Okay.
in
Well,
finally.
there's that, and now even so, the calculator was always very, very simple, just the basic sort of your TI whatever calculator with just the basic 4 operations, right? And if you wanted the scientific calculator, you had to tilt it on its side to go landscape, and you get the all of the extra buttons and functions, etc.
Oh yeah.
Now you get the scientific calculator. You can have it show by default and even in portrait mode. So
But
that's
it's been there. It's been there for the last couple of releases. That actually has because I was using it. But the thing that we were missing was they changed the equals function. Now they put it back. That's a big deal for those of us who liked it.
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's more like the adding machine where if you keep hitting it, it
You
just
can tell
keeps.
how exciting I am.
it'll do multiples, right? It'll
Yeah,
do
and it used to do that, and then they broke it.
So
They
the
took it
other
away.
one was actually tvOS specific, possible Black Unity campaign stuff. So themes and stuff like that.
which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I guess.
And then there were 2 bug fixes that are coming, where one fixed for an
yes.
issue with the keyboard might disappear when initiating a typed Siri request,
Huh.
and then an issue where the audio playback continues until the song ends, even after closing Apple Music.
I have heard that was not so much an
So-
Apple Music thing; it was actually a CarPlay thing.
Really?
Is the way I had heard that bug
Interesting.
described, and
All
it
right.
may not be fixed 100% yet. Maybe we may not see that till 18.4. I don't know, but
Right.
uh,
And there are
But-
also references where Apple made changes to Apple Home, all right, for robot vacuum support. All right.
Right.
okay,
But it seems the functionality, isn't live at this point, and
okay,
their website is saying that it may actually start showing up in future updates. So maybe in 18.4. All right.
okay, guys.
Now we're coming to the end of the iOS 18 declared roadmap, I think from last June. All right. Where I thought they were going to be going like 18, 1, 2, 3, 4, where you're going to see more and more and more AI functionality come out. I thought there might be an 18.4 and 18.5.
There's an 18.4, I know for sure, and I've heard
Right.
that there are supposed to be a few more things added AI wise into
Right.
18.4. That's what I've heard.
Right.
But then I really haven't heard anything past 18.4. So
Right. So we may be
I don't know
coming
what
to
that
the
looks like.
end of
Yeah,
the iOS 18 life
you may be right.
roadmap, right, and life cycle,
Mhm.
right? There may be an 18. There's going to be an 18.4. There may be an 18.5, depending on how some of these AI features work out as things go along.
Yeah.
And then we're going to start seeing probably code references and hints and some leaks about iOS 19 and what may come of it.
And
Right.
that's not too far down the road, kids. That's,
not.
5 months
It's
down the
not.
road, and we'll start to hear that. 4 or 5 months
Absolutely.
down the road.
Absolutely.
It's coming.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It is coming. So,
No, it's not coming.
oh man, this
Oh,
one really
man.
annoys the pants out of me. And Joel, thank you for transitioning
Me
us.
too.
But this one really, really bothers
Oh,
me.
me too.
Walmart, which is it's one of, if not the biggest retailer in the world, right?
Yep.
It still won't accept Apple Pay or other kinds of NFC-based payments, except
Just
it-
theirs.
except
The
it's
story-
The story says Apple Pay, but let me tell you, they do not take Google Pay. They do not take Garmin Pay. They do not take any NFC-based payments. Now,
no
I don't even
Samsung
think they
Pay,
do.
nothing.
I don't
Right,
even
except
think
their own.
I don't even think they do tap to pay, if I remember right, with your existing card. But
No, they don't. Because I was
But-
just
but-
I
but
was
doesn't-
just at Wally World the other day.
and the even strangest things is that they actually have the machines that can do it, but they're just not
Yeah.
doing it.
But
Right.
didn't they double down or something about how their way is better for
Yes.
customer or something like
Yes,
that?
Something
they
like
said,
that,
and I
yeah.
quote, we do not accept NFC and instead have implemented convenient solutions such as Walmart Pay that provide our customers easy touchless payments on any smartphone. So you have to do it
Right.
from inside their app. All right.
What's
We
even
have
funnier
also-
though,
we have also invested in innovative technologies that go beyond payments, such as Scan
Right.
and Go, which allows Sam's Clubs and Walmart Plus members to bypass the checkout altogether,
Yep.
providing a truly touchless shopping experience, which is nice.
And
but
their
Apple
competitors
Pay
have the
launched
same
10
thing.
years ago. All right. And it originally Walmart did not jump on board because they didn't want to pay Apple they didn't want to pay
Any
Apple,
of
and they
them.
didn't want to pay the Visa or MasterCard or credit card processing fees on top of what they would have to pay Apple in order to go and implement the system.
Yep. Walmart Pay, I've never signed up for it, but every time I look into it, it looks very backwards looking.
Yeah, of course it does.
It's nothing
is.
modern.
No, it involves QR codes, scanning a QR code.
And here's the kind of
Not
annoying
forget
thing
that
too.
crap.
I use Scan and Go almost exclusively at Sam's Club. I never go to the checkout unless this is the annoying thing. Like, is if you want to buy, like I said, a Bluetooth headphones, that any of those Sam's Club products that they have in store, that have instead of the actual product that has a card that you would take up and scan, those you cannot do through Scan and Go.
No,
Right.
because
But-
you don't have the products,
Right.
right?
And
You got
somebody
a
has to
card.
go get it.
Well,
you gotta have a
it's not
person to
set
go
up.
get it.
That's the thing they could easily do that, and you can just walk up and say, hey, here's my QR code showing I paid. Can I have my thing? And they won't do that. So, among other things, not to mention the fact I have both my bank card and my wife to a different bank in the app, and invariably we'll switch back and forth depending on which account has more money. But one time I go to do that, and it was asking for my wife's the
pin on her.
No, the CVV. No, the CVV code on the back
on
of
her
the
card. Yeah,
Okay.
and of course she wasn't with me.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm like, what's your CVV?
But Sam's Club doing this through their app is the same as Walmart doing it through their app because it's both Walmart.
Right. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Right.
Yep. So, I mean, and they don't accept Google Pay through that. Other things I've done with.
Nope.
I'm trying to think. Who was it? Walmart or Meijer takes Google Pay.
Meijer takes Apple Pay.
All kinds of tap and pay. In fact,
all of it.
I thought it was Home Depot.
For folks who don't know, Meijer's is kind of a regional chain in this part of the country.
In the
Those
Midwest,
who are hearing us, if anybody's hearing us from outside that region, you might not know. Meijer's is a big competitor to Walmart.
Yes.
And whatnot. So they're huge, and they take everything.
Yes.
So.
Yes, and I thought the article had mentioned that some holdouts also recently jumped on board, right, including the Home Depot, which
Home Depot, ATV.
I used Apple Pay at Home Depot, so it must take it.
Yeah, and it does now. It does now. All right, but they were also a holdout because again they didn't want to pay the fee for the network, right? I can understand.
Oh, I know what else it was. It was like I was signing up for a race or something, and Google Pay was right there, and I could just hit a button and pay with Google Pay.
Right.
So I mean, it's
gotcha.
There's a lot of apps and stores, online stores, other than
online apps. All this.
Right.
Yep.
Apparently, it was Home Depot, Lowe's, Kroger, and the Texas grocery chain HEB. Okay.
Are not taking it or are now taking it?
They started accepting it over the last few years, leaving Walmart as one of the country's only major holdouts.
Unless you're in Canada, and if you're in Canada, you can use Apple Pay.
Now, in Walmart?
Yeah, that's what it says at the bottom of the story. Since 2020.
And let me add to this. They mentioned Kroger. Kroger's big problem though has been their terminals are not up to date. So many places you can't use any of these tap to pay or wireless pay things because their terminals will only take cards. They won't take wireless things. But that's a hardware limitation, not a. And
my Kroger has been doing Google Pay and Apple
Pay,
Pay for I would say at least 2 years now. Yeah.
Right. One of the reasons why Walmart hasn't jumped on originally, we had said that it was because they didn't want to pay the additional network fees. Chris, you were saying something.
Well, I think a lot of this has to do
in the pre-show, right? And
I think so. I think a lot of this may also have to do with the fact that when you control what the pay mechanisms are and things like that, you also are able to collect a little bit more information about the customer and what's going on. They have that anyway to an extent because they do see what you bought, but
they just won't be able to connect it with you.
Yeah, there's a little more to this when you actually use their card, their app, their whatever. They own the data. Data has value these days. Data is worth money. Especially when to target advertising and things like that. So I think they want to keep more control on their own data. I think that's what a lot of this has to do with these days. So, I get it. I don't like it, but I get it.
It is what it is, though, right? I mean, this is the thing that bothers me is if Walmart truly believes the pile that they're shoveling, all right, there's a problem. All right.
Well, the way they phrased it makes it sound to me like they don't. They're just trying to justify it. That phrasing is pretty mushy.
Well, it's all yes, it is squishy and it's also a bit thin. I don't give a crap.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Your app sucks. All
it
right?
does.
The
I totally
app in
agree.
and of itself sucks, and the wallet and the payment sections of the app are horrible. All right.
Well, and then here's my thing too: is they constantly, like, if you want to buy something, you almost have to sign up for a Walmart Plus account, which I don't want to pay them for membership to Walmart. No. No, that's
No.
not happening.
Because it doesn't
I
buy
mean,
you. It doesn't buy you anything. It's not worth it. All
it's
right.
different for Sam's Club.
It is
Sam's
different for
Club,
Sam's Club because Sam's Club is all
Well,
about volume and wholesale
yes,
pricing.
well, it's not even that. It's a matter of who they compete with.
right.
Walmart doesn't have large national wide competitors. They have regionals, but not national competitors.
Right.
Right.
Whereas Sam's Club directly competes with Costco, so they have to
Yep.
And
compete.
BJ's or
And
whoever else.
BJ's and some
Yes.
others, and they absolutely have to stand up to that. So what they're needing to do is different than what Walmart needs to do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
and I will
that's
say
true.
this, you're starting to see some Walmart shrinkage in towns. They're starting to disappear in
Yep.
some places. So
Mm.
they
Yep.
probably ought to start rethinking a few things. Can see why they're losing
Yep.
traction in some places, and they need to figure out why they're doing that.
Correct.
And so I think they have a larger term problem on their hands, other than this, but it's
Yeah.
certainly not helping their situation. That's for sure.
There isn't,
Mhm.
is it?
True. 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 All right, kids. Well, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move us to our mobile Linux segment, and this one is
Okay,
somewhat kind of exciting, maybe. All right.
maybe.
I say maybe
Eh,
because the Samsung's
I,
Galaxy
I,
Unpacked event was just last week.
you mean you didn't say meh be?
Meh, meh, all right. So
Anyway,
Galaxy's Unpacked
sorry.
event was last week, right? And all the new S25 series phones and devices were announced. All right. And Joel, what do you think?
Well, if you've seen the Galaxy S24, you've pretty much seen the S25. It's basically just speed bumps, a little minor design
Yeah, well, they
changes.
rounded the corners though. They rounded,
Oh, whoop-de freaking
They
do.
did.
rounded the corners, right? It doesn't have
Yeah,
them angles
that
anymore.
would be on the non-ultra phones because the
Yeah.
ultra phone I think still looks like very much like the original one.
Well,
Basically S whatever ultra is the Galaxy Note essentially is what
Mhm.
and and it's like of
Well,
course everything's about Samsung AI, which I'm like, who the heck's gonna use Samsung AI?
well, the same.
you
It's
know,
going to be the same folks that are. You've got
Using the
different
Bixby
folks.
button?
Well, you've got not well. Bixby's a joke, all right. But
Yes.
the point is,
This is too.
who's going to use their AI would be the same folks that on Apple would use Siri, all right, and the
but
chat
yeah,
and Apple Intelligence and the Chat GPT integration on Apple devices, all right, and
I
the
think
same
it's going to
folks that
be
are going to use
yeah.
Gemini on other
But
Google devices.
it's gonna be like anything else. The standalone AI stuff isn't the stuff that's exciting about like a Bixby,
No.
Siri, Gemini. Those are not the things that excite me. What's exciting people is going to be the little things that are in the apps. And the
Yep.
Samsung apps, some of them like the Notes app and Message app, they're not bad apps.
No,
They're
they aren't.
decent
No.
apps. So that's where you're going to see the leveraging. And I think the Samsung AI stuff is probably more interesting than the Samsung hardware changes this time around. And that ain't saying much,
Probably.
by the way. But that ain't
Well,
No.
saying much. The
No,
Samsung
I mean
hardware.
the
I
thing
think we
is
had
though, with Samsung phones though, you can always load Gemini on it anyway.
you can anyway. Yeah, it's
you can
absolutely
if you've
true.
got the right level of processor, you can,
Same
Yeah,
thing like
right?
you could do the same thing with the Home Assistant.
yeah.
That's what we did instead
Right.
of load Bixby. My son turned off the Bixby button immediately because he
Yeah, me
hated it.
too.
It's
Me
like,
too.
it was just
But
awful. And it's like,
uh,
I'd rather they just, you know, I don't want to say just bring out a phone that has the Pixel interface on it, Samsung, but because they're not going to do that.
they're not going to do
It's,
that.
Well,
but it's
no, they've
like,
invested way too much money in One UI. So,
yeah,
and
But
and
they did.
their whole AI model is built around One UI 7 and
yeah,
Yeah,
Google's Gemini 2 AI engine. So,
they're
yep,
they're and in some cases, Samsung actually did a better job with certain things than stock Google Android kind of. But in other ways, they really effed it up. They always have, and it's kind of the way it is. But I will say the hardware didn't change much. Maybe a little bit in the camera. Didn't we lose some features in the pen this time
I
around?
think we did.
I
Yeah.
think so. I thought didn't the pen used to be Bluetooth and it isn't anymore.
I
Yeah,
think
something
so.
like that.
Yeah.
So it's a mixed bag. And again, from a hardware perspective, I kind of go, eh. And One UI 7, isn't a lot of that going to come to the previous device or
Well,
two
sure,
anyway?
it will come to so everything that the Samsung S25 can do, all right, from a operating system perspective. The
Okay.
S24
Right.
series should be able to do. So if you've got an S24 series device, all right, the corresponding S25 isn't going to be able to do, much more, other than those hardware pieces that were bumped,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
All right. Um,
But there isn't
so
that much of a hardware bump, so there you are.
that's true. All right. Although the S25 Ultra does boast an AMOLED 2X QHD Plus display with 120 hertz refresh rate. So
Didn't the
Yeah.
24 have something similar?
it was close. I don't know if it's exactly the same. All right.
Okay, I know that I think the ultra wide camera is a little better, and that's about the excitement level as I could tell.
Right.
Um,
According to this particular article that we're citing from MSN, at least originally, the S25 series is powered by Qualcomm's Snapdragon 8 Elite, and it
okay,
offers
so
a 40% improvement in neural engine processing, as well as a significant boost for CPU and graphics processing. All right,
okay, so it's a
so
faster device. Okay,
it's a little
gotcha.
faster, right? So okay,
Yeah.
but wouldn't you expect that
That would
from
be
from an upgraded
that'd
generation?
be your
And a
minimum baseline.
normal,
That's what I'm
yeah,
saying. That's what I'm saying. There should be something
which
like
is
that.
kind of boring.
Right. And all I
it-
have seen on this is really a bump in specs, which
Yeah,
makes people ask, "Are you happy
yeah,
with the
yeah.
new phone?"
It's not a whole lot of innovation there. I mean, you could argue that the AI stuff is more innovation than not. I don't know. I'm not willing to go there
The
just
way,
yet,
well,
but
the way I look at it, and I've had Samsung phones in the past. I debated a Samsung phone, and then I went and got a Pixel 9 Pro
yeah,
XL, and that
Right.
debate was like a minute. Um,
yeah, I
Well,
get you.
yeah, I
you know,
understand, especially since the S23, S24, and S25 series phones all basically look alike.
the same. Yeah.
The S24,
And let's
or
be honest.
the
I
S
mean,
Plus, the S Plus, and the
yeah.
S Ultra, right?
Really, it's the same problem that Apple has with the iPhone in a lot of
Exactly.
cases.
Exactly, and that's where they are.
I'm not
But
saying that the 15 and the 16, there ain't a huge difference between the 15 and the 16. There really isn't. But honestly, it's a boring release too, to be honest.
from an
Yeah.
overall form factor perspective, you're exactly right. However, Samsung does have a fold and a flip.
Yes.
All right.
Which also
Apple
haven't
does
really
not.
changed.
Apple
Well,
does
they
not.
actually didn't announce them then. I mean, they didn't announce new ones yet for those.
No, they haven't. But
No,
my
that's
point
different
is,
time of
if you're
year.
wanting
Yeah.
something a little bit different, you do have the two set of foldables from Samsung as well that will run
Which
One UI 7, all right, and will be
And
so
they kind of
here
brought the
the
edge
newer
but
back
software
that
too.
features.
raises an interesting point because quite frankly, both of those have gone kind of stale as well because they haven't changed a whole lot in the
Isn't
last
that
couple
interesting, though?
releases.
But isn't that
Same
interesting?
problem. But
Yes.
let me take a sidestep for a minute there. For those who kind
Oh,
of
you're going to
watch
dance
the
a little
large
sidestep. Thank you.
for those who watch larger markets, we know that in Korea and China, Samsung released a device called the Fold
Right.
the SE.
The
The
SE, yes.
the
Fold
SE
SE.
is
The Fold
and it's
SE.
it's a slightly wider device. The form factor is slightly different, and it's some of the things that people
And
complained
slightly
about.
thinner, I thought, as well.
And slightly thinner, and that's one of the things that people had complained about with the current folds. So the question now will be, will the new Fold 7 when it comes out actually be that in North
Potentially,
America
it could
and
be.
whatnot?
And
And if it
could
is,
be.
that
Right.
would be a slight, but the point is
And
if
we
that's what
and
they
they did.
release, that would be that would be a change if that's what
Mhm.
they
Right.
release.
Joel,
That
what
would
were you
be
gonna say?
innovative.
What were you going to say, Joel?
I was say there is kind of one thing that is semi exciting about Unpacked, and they did leak out, and it's not out yet. It'll come later, but they announced the S25 Edge, which I believe it's a slimmer version of the S25.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
and they used to use the Edge brand
Yeah,
before.
I
the
remember.
Samsung Edge was a phone that had the display
Curve
going
size.
around around the edges of the phone
Right.
that would if you had the phone turned down, when the phone rang, instead of ringing, it would vibrate and then show you a
Hmm.
scrolling reflected
On the
um,
side. Yep.
on the side, so that you could see it on the table or the worktop space that you were on. All right. The
This
other thing
isn't
I
that.
thought that is
So, I
also
mean,
interesting from Samsung that I thought I heard something about was they had their version of a trifold phone. All right.
That's
Um,
a rumor that they haven't actually
I
released
thought
a
that they had
product.
announced the larger trifold. I thought they had
I don't think
announced.
they've
Is it rumor
announced one. I
only?
think they've. I
Okay.
think it's been it might have been at a show as a sort of, you know,
Prototype
yeah, kind
or
of thing.
answer
But
to Huawei's or
well, they've had
trifold.
yeah, they've had but Samsung has had over the years. Remember they had where they demoed the rolling one and they demoed a
Yeah.
couple other things, but they weren't really products at this point.
Yeah.
They're
Okay.
more
All
like
right.
technology previews, if you will, or something like that.
Sure. I do think we should expect to see that one though. All right. It's already out with
Mm.
Huawei's, and from what I hear, it's being, even though it's like 2 grand for that particular phone, or even more. All right.
Oh no, it's more.
Is it more like 25 to 3?
Oh no, it's more like 3, 4, $5,000 depending on
Fabulous.
where
But
you get it.
the point is though, when that is
It's
in
expensive.
Asia, A, your only computing device, and
Yeah.
B, something that you might use for business. I mean, it folds out to a full 10-inch tablet size, I thought.
Yeah, there's still a lot of problems with that form factor that they've got to work out before.
Sure.
I don't think Samsung will release it while it still has some of the problems that Huawei's
But
experiencing.
it'll be interesting to
Yeah,
see. You know, and
yeah.
if you are interested in some of those wonderful new Samsung products, according to 9 to 5 Google, man, their
Oh
discounts,
yeah.
they're off the freaking chart. They are offering up to $900 off in trade-in values.
But doesn't that
All right.
make you ask why so soon?
Well, they did this. They've done this the last
Have they this kind of
4 or 5
numbers?
years. They've done this the last 4 or 5 years. You know,
Okay,
where they offer for either last year's phone, their phone, last year's
I
version
see.
of their phone, or like a Apple device, the latest Apple device, right, to get a switcher,
right.
right? They will offer, 900 to $1,000 off
Hmm.
the price of the device, of the big device that you're looking for. They've also got a way for you to get this year an additional $50 off um, the S25. So um, right now, all right, if you were to go ahead and trade in an S24 Ultra, you can get $500 for on it towards the Galaxy S25. You get $700 towards the Galaxy S25 Plus, or $900, all right, towards the S25 Ultra. All right. They're also offering, if you go the way of the Ultra, they're offering $900 in trade-in value on the S24 Ultra, the Galaxy Z Fold 6, Z Fold 5, flip let's see, the Flip 6, they're only offering 700, and that's it in terms of $900. All right. So they're really trying to get some folks to jump on to their S25 series. And if you've got the right device, it could be an easy get for you.
It's interesting because a couple of weeks ago, Google had a similar kind of amount they were giving, to get you to jump to one of the Pixel 9 devices, 9,
Mhm.
9 Pro, 9 Fold, all those kinds of things.
Yep.
I don't think those are in play anymore at this point, but they were a couple weeks ago.
Right.
And so it's interesting to see how all these players are trying to get people to jump on board to their latest pitches. The funny thing is, I mean, Apple has their trades, but it's never quite at this extent or this level.
No.
This feels. But the problem I have with this is this feels to me and I say this every year though. This seems falsely subsidized because they've got to be losing money. It got to be a loss leader when you do this at this point.
In some cases, I would not be surprised.
But
Um,
it sounds to me like, okay, why are you having to do that? If your product's so great, you probably don't really need to do that.
right.
And
So
otherwise, maybe something's not quite up to. And we've already kind of talked. We think it's a little bit meh, Maybe that's why you need this incentive to get people to jump on it. And the 24 was kind of meh compared to the 23. So maybe that's why they're having to do this. I don't know. Just
Right.
speculating.
So, anyway, it interestingly
Eh,
enough, if you trade in an iPhone 16 Pro Max, you're either going to get $500 for the S24, S25, $700 for the 25 Plus, or $700 for the Ultra. So that's interesting. You would think that they would try to capture that additional
mhm.
iPhone user with a $900
Yeah,
uh,
it's
trade-in
not
value,
gonna
and it's
it's not
not.
gonna attract anybody, especially
No,
with somebody who just bought a 16 at a lot
right,
more than that. They're not gonna
right.
jump.
No. Um,
Huh. Okay.
those switching from iPhones will see some higher trading values at Best Buy versus Samsung. Apparently, Best
Yeah.
Buy for your 15 Pro Max will give you $900 towards that S25 Ultra. So there you go.
Right.
So, as well as $900 for your iPhone 15 Pro. So the interesting. But yeah, so interesting discounts. Some hefty discounts.
I mean, for people who are really, really fans of the platform and fans of the products,
Yeah,
go for it, guys. Go for it. They're-
absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't think they're bad products at all. I
No,
just
no,
think
no, no. They're fabulous
I
phones.
just think that I think they're a little overhyped, but they're not bad. They're good products. They make good, solid products, and people
They
like
do.
them.
They
So,
do. Um,
um,
I like the three that I have.
I know you do. I know you
I
do.
know I enjoy them all right now. I'm living very comfortably right now in my S24 Ultra, and it's a great device. Um, I just gotten away from I had carried the OnePlus Open for about 15 or so months, and so I was, ready for a little something different and grabbed the Ultra as opposed to the Fold or Flip, and just because I was looking for a different form
Yeah.
factor this time
And
around.
I have the 23, and it's okay. It's fine.
Hmm.
I'm not that impressed by it. It's an all right device. It's a nice, solid candy bar style device,
Yep.
like
With a
as
nice
they go,
built-in
with a nice
stylus. I
built-in
like
pen
that.
and stylus. Yeah,
Yeah.
it really is nice.
I like that a lot.
But I don't find myself gravitating to it that often anymore.
No,
I really
no.
just don't.
So I'm
Hmm.
going to go ahead and we have got one more story in our mobile Linux segment,
Do
and this
we?
one is we do, and this one's kind of annoying the living crap out of me. I got an email the other
Ah,
day from Netflix.
All of us did.
All right, and they're raising their prices again. All right, and this
Just
was
like every other streamer.
well, true. They are with every other streamer, but their prices for streaming are being raised to $17.99. I think I'm paying $15.99 right now, or $14.99. They're going up to 17. All right, and or $17.99. So almost $18 a month.
Right.
All right. I remember when Netflix was $10 a month. All
Mm-hmm.
right, for their streaming services. All right, it wasn't all that long ago. It was probably about 2019. All right, maybe 2020. Um, and in that time since, in the last 4+ years or so, 4 or 5 years, the prices have gone up to almost $20 a month. When do you say enough is enough as a
yeah.
consumer? You have to
It's
know that's a
kind of,
personal decision.
it
You've got,
is. It's
but
very
you,
personal, and it's
yeah,
going to depend on what you watch and the content you watch.
how much do you watch it? Right.
Right. And not
But
to mention
yeah.
the fact things like for example, Netflix streamed their first football games, which from the NFL
Oh, don't
this
even get
year.
me started on that bunch
Yes,
of
I
bullshit.
know. Oh no,
Honest to
I
God.
know. I agree with you because it was awful.
Well,
Yeah.
it's not that it was awful. It's not that the streaming of the event was bad. What I do not appreciate, all right, um, is that the game in and of itself, unless you were subscribed to that service, and Prime did it as well. All right. Um, They do it for Thursday Night Football. It's exclusively on Prime. And then there were a couple of playoff games that were exclusively just on Prime. So if you didn't have Amazon Prime Video, you couldn't watch the game. That was normally available on regular broadcast TV or streamed TV through your cable service for the last 75 years. What the hell?
Yep.
I know that they're trying. I know that they're trying to gain subscribers, but come on, man! Don't do that with my football games. All right, don't do that with the major sports. Don't do that with baseball. Don't do that with basketball, hockey.
It's all going back in the probably 80s and early 90s when you used to watch NASCAR. It was a pain in the ass to figure out what channel the race was going to be on.
Right.
Then they made their big deal back in 2000, 2001 when they did their deal with Fox and NBC, and it's now kind of gone back to that with other not as much with NASCAR. Well, yeah, with NASCAR too, but like for example, I had to have at least 3 different services to watch all the NCAA OSU games for the football season this year. I had to have. YouTube TV had Peacock. Ugh. And
I know
one other service, and I can't remember the other service, but still, it's like, I know it's a big money thing for all of this stuff, but it's like nobody considers, how. I mean, at some point,
it's a money thing.
The thing is at some point, the fans are going to be like, yeah, screw you, I'm done with NFL.
Well, it makes me when I look at the broader thing that happened with television. It used to be there was only broadcast. That's what we had, right? So everybody who had a TV could get pretty much anything you could get. Then cable came out, and services were kind of consolidated. But you were either broadcast or cable. Cable prices kept going up. That was the new thing. Everything went up, and then everybody said enough, and they decentralized all of this to separate services that we now stream, right? Mm-hmm. So these things are cyclical, kids. You're going to see this crap wrapped back together and bundling. This is why bundling is what we're seeing right now. But any of these services, they're going to lump together.
Some of them are bundling, right?
No, more than not, and it's getting more and more every year.
Like Hulu, Disney Plus, Hulu, Disney Plus.
I'd like to see some plain aggregated service. If you want to call it Apple TV or the Apple TV app, or if you want to call it Google TV or YouTube TV, all right. Yeah. Offer me those discounted or at least not as expensive opportunities to subscribe to those streaming services through your app. All right, and let me do that because that'll be a lot better for me to go ahead and see all that.
The problem I'm seeing with the bundling options that are coming out is that I tend to buy the higher end of each service, so I don't have I have the 4K, I have the maximum number of streams, I have this. They don't bundle the high level stuff together. The bundle is the lower. We're going to put these lower ones together. You'll still get commercials, but not as many, and we're going to bundle this. And it's like, okay, what exactly did you do for me?
What if I don't want any commercials? Right?
Yeah, you didn't do any of this you didn't do this for me. What you're doing is not the offering I want. They also don't make it easy to. If I already own all the services, how do I switch to the bundled version? You have to cancel everything and reopen the bundle against one of them.
Yes.
Why don't you offer me an opportunity to
consolidate in one of those services?
Convert them.
Right.
And we'll pick which username to put it against and just let them all go against that. I don't care. Right. Disney is doing some things behind the scenes with their Disney accounts that's very confusing. That's because it's impacting my Hulu account. If I had an ESPN account, it would probably be impacting that too. It's all very convoluted, and I don't like what's being done. It's not being done in a very good manner for me as a consumer.
Agreed.
So to me, the sports being all over the place, you have not done anything that helps your consumer at this point, not at all. So I don't see that fixing in the short term at all, maybe in the long term, but right now I think we're all just kind of screwed. Yeah. And it's just sad to see these numbers going up and up and up and up, like you said. So here we go.
Over.
Well, that's the other thing too. It's not just that too. It's like ratings and stuff. Like for example, I just saw a story about the national championship game that was on the same day as the inauguration.
Yeah, what the hell was up with that?
Why? Bro, I have
could,
no idea. I mean, that's just when they
but
schedule it, and it was on a Monday. A Monday. And now, granted, I was off work, but the thing is the game doesn't start till 7:30.
well,
I have to go to work the next
I
day.
mean,
It's
you could
like,
argue the inauguration following on Martin Luther King Day was probably also a bad idea. But what are you going to
yeah,
do? These things are all of these things shouldn't have been lumped together on the same day.
yeah. So I
It was
mean,
kind of,
so the ratings were pretty bad from what they said.
of course they were.
Now some could say, I know some are saying, well, it's because OSU was in it. Well, no, not in
No,
Ohio. I mean, we don't care. Okay. But it's like, and this is also that was the first year for the 12-team playoff in the NCAA. So,
which I thought was actually a really
brilliant
nice way to do it. I thought it was wonderful.
yeah. Well, because it's like normally the way it used to be is you had the colleges would have one bowl game you go to, and that was it. And then they started the 4-team playoff, all right, and
right, and how they calculated who won the national championship was after the fact.
yes,
and then
that's the way it was
eventually
for a long time.
Well,
but
it was all originally by sports writer vote, which
the funny thing is the inauguration didn't get the numbers that they expected either. So you got to wonder, if all this
from
stuff
where though, from where were you talking about? Because like Daily Wire had huge numbers for the inauguration.
Yeah, overall he had he had one of the lowest viewerships on television. So I don't think. But
so we're talking about the regular television, not the streaming services, because it was the YouTube.
The point we're getting at is that
it's all related
by dividing everybody across these different things, I think they've made it more complicated to watch and know where to watch and how to watch, and people just don't want to go through these hoops anymore. Yep. I think that's what it comes down to.
Yep. All that that's all. There's a local Facebook group here during the football season. People would say, "Where can I go watch the game? Because I don't have blah 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 service." And it's like,
there you go.
I'm just gonna buy the service, and it's not like the services aren't good for other things.
That's true too.
So I mean, that's the thing, and so I have Netflix. I don't know how much longer I'm gonna have Netflix for because some of the shows I'm watching are ending.
I know people that do the same thing, Joe. That they watch the shows they want to watch, they end the service, and if something else comes up they want to watch, they resubscribe for while it's on, and then they unsubscribe when it's done. That's not unusual. That's kind of the way a lot of this is going these days, right?
It is.
Technically, you can save money that way.
You want to see?
You can.
All right. You subscribe while that's on. You stream. You live stream.
Exactly.
And once the season's over, you're done.
And people are doing that right and left. They really are. So I think that, again, this model that we're currently following is not a sustainable model, and you're going to see, I don't know, rebundling or whatever become the way we do things. I think that's just a matter of time.
God, I hope so. Seriously. I really
but not if they use pricing like YouTube TV has their pricing. Their pricing is terrible, but they've got to come up with something better than that. But because otherwise we're back
terrible, but I will say it is one of the best services there is.
But the problem is we're getting back into the range of cable TV pricing. It's not worth it to me.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to do that to me anyway, then why don't I just go back to cable TV if that's what you're going to do?
This is what I'm saying.
So
it's getting to be a little.
It's gotten a little out of control. So that's what they need to do is sort that out.
They have to figure out what's going on.
They do. And they haven't.
We'll see.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and move us to our Windows segment, but I'm going to go ahead and do that right after this message. Hi. This is Christopher Spera from iTechGear.org. I wanted to talk with you today about becoming a contributing donor to the site. iTechGear.org has been around for almost 15 years. In fact, our anniversary is just around the corner on January 10th, 2025. 15 years. Where has the time gone? I've never really asked for any kind of donations for the site. It's always been about me providing value to you, a site visitor or podcast listener. The iTechGear Weekly is now in its 4th year of production, and Chris G, Joel, and Dr. Mr. Larry McJunkin and I are having a really great time providing you with some of the best free tech talk available from time-tested original internet writers, testers, site founders, and professional writers and editors on the internet. I truly believe that our crew has some of the best and most qualified pundits and commentators on the internet today. And we're not hobbled by any kind of sponsorship or affiliated relationship or other time bought posts. It all comes from the heart. Unfortunately, times are kind of tough. And since the COVID-19 pandemic of 2020 to 2023, yes, almost 3 full years, times have become increasingly difficult for small independent sites like iTechGear.org to stay afloat. You know, I normally do this with a portion of the salary I make from the day job, but with the IT market so tight right now, it's really difficult sometimes for many to make normal household ends meet, let alone fund a site like iTechGear that might decide to bring in a buck or two. You know, it ain't easy. If you find any of our content on iTechGear or from ITGW to be of any value at all, I would seriously appreciate you donating as little as just $1 to the cause. While we do have a Patreon site, it's hard to keep one website up, let alone 2. And since it's really only me doing the work, our Patreon site hasn't really helped us at all. If you can make a donation to the site or to the show of any amount, I'd be forever grateful. All donations will go to site maintenance, hosting, podcast hosting, and everything iTechGear related. Donations can be made to my PayPal account at chris@itechgear.org. Make a donation. We'll thank you immediately on the next ITGW episode and voice our gratitude. I want to thank you. We appreciate your consideration, time, and attention. Now let's get back to the latest iTechGear Weekly episode. And welcome back to the iTechGear Weekly, episode number 119, Getting Tired of the Merry-Go-Round. You know, and I want to go ahead and move us into our Windows segment. And, you know, there's a few stories in here. Some of them are going to be real quick. Some of them are, maybe candidates for the Microsoft Mistake-a-thon. So, in fact, our first runner-up here is, in fact, one of those. So, Chris, do me a favor and spin the big wheel. And give us, the wonderful thing that MS has done this week.
Well, now that looks like the wheel landed on removed feature people liked.
Yes, that is true. Microsoft has actually removed thesaurus from Word.
Did they really remove it, or did they just change it to make it less effective?
It's according
well,
to
they replaced it with Copilot. So
according to this particular article from Windows Central, they have removed thesaurus from Word, and they did this when they retired Smart Lookup at the beginning of the year. All right. So if you were like me, somebody who happened to use a specific word, perhaps maybe a little too much in a paragraph, then you might look at that, see it, and then double click on it to select the word, and then right click and then choose the source, and it would come back with a number of different synonyms for that. Now, what you've got is the ability to have Copilot rewrite that sentence or that paragraph, and it would probably see that you've used that word more than once, and would recommend that you change it to something else. All right. There's a lot of people well, here's the problem that I have with this. All right. This is all in favor of Copilot and them trying to push people to subscribe to Copilot
Shove
and
the
Copilot
shit
Plus.
in your face
Mm.
all the time. Like I use we have a Microsoft 365 from my church, and that's where I started using. I was using my own account to share pictures with the creative folks at church. But now I use their account, and well, in both of those accounts, I'm gonna be honest, it doesn't matter which one I use. The first thing you go into OneDrive, it's like, oh hey, you want to try Microsoft Copilot? I'm like, no, let me do what the hell I want to do and get off of here. It's
Yeah.
like,
Thank you very much, Lee.
yeah, I get it. They want Copilot to be the next greatest thing, but it's like we said before, it feels a lot like Clip It.
It really does. And it feels like they
Shoving
keep
it in your
forcing
face.
us. All their services, they keep pushing us at their services rather than letting us decide whether or not we want the service. And I'm getting a little
Right.
tired of it.
Right. I do not appreciate them pulling away a choice from me. All right.
Nope.
And the choice is subscribe to Copilot or not subscribe to Copilot. You're moving me in a way, to a decision that between you and me may not work out very well for you. All right.
Yeah, and let me add to that. If you keep hitting me with these little things,
Yeah.
I'm
You're
going to
nickeling
say
and diming
I'm
me to
I'm going to
death.
say, guess what? I am not subscribing to Copilot just on principle
Yes.
because
Yep.
that's how annoyed you're making me.
Yes. Exactly.
So-
And I do not appreciate what they're doing or how they're doing it. And as far as I'm concerned, they can take Copilot and stick it where the AI
Pretty
don't
much.
shine. Okay.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't like this at all, and it's like
No.
yeah, I'm just not happy with this nonsense that they've been doing.
No, I do not appreciate it. And I do not like the
I do
way
not
this
like graying eggs and ham.
I will not eat them, Sam. I am. All
You know,
right.
this is pretty
So
much where we are.
Yeah, pretty much. And I find it so very, very irritating and annoying that Microsoft is they're pulling away features that originally drove me to choose them as a vendor for Pixel.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. All right. In order they're pulling these features away in order to shuttle me down an avenue that I know I already don't want to go down.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's real simple.
You know,
keep this up and I'm going to walk away.
It depresses me because you and I both had this conversation about I like some of the newer devices. They're calling Copilot devices that are the ARM-based devices. I like the device. But you're killing me with this Windows 11 crap that you're shoving down my throat.
Copilot. Yeah.
And what you're doing with Office 365 and all these, you're really, really making me say, you know what, guy, Microsoft, I'm almost getting to that forget you kind of point of view, and I'm going back to using a Mac full time kind of thing. I'm not going to use your devices anymore because you're peeving me off here. I don't really like
come
this.
on, say it.
It.
Pissing you. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
pissing you off. Come
It is.
on.
It really is. I've just about had it with this nonsense, and
And
it
I'll
counters all
be
good
honest
things.
on that too. I don't really like Apple for a lot of things either, but I'm the same way. It's like why do I want to deal with?
At least when you have Apple, you have a
constantly-
decent Unix under system you can work with. You know,
and you know what to expect with
and
Apple.
you know what to expect. It's always the same. You know,
Right.
yeah, good and bad, but it's always the same. You always know what it is. But this Apple's not trying to shove me at their services. I mean, they really haven't tried to shove me at their services. They're there if I want them.
And for people like myself, I'm like, Adobe. Try Linux. Put it out. Put out a Linux version, please.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, because I really don't like either of the choices that I have.
But there's enough of a user base, at least in my opinion. All right.
Yeah.
That some developers should start producing something that will run on Linux, whether that's
So
Yep.
a Mac version or whether it is a true Linux version. It's time. All right.
So yeah, I think I would agree. And so, once again, Microsoft leads us down what I'm starting to call the Microsoft Trail of Tears, because that's really what it's looking like. It's very sad, it's very unfortunate,
Mhm.
and very disappointing. Or as we call it, the mistake-a-thon. It's all kind
Jesus.
of the same thing. This is just, to me, it's just another bad
Hmm.
move that they've been making in recent months and recent years. Just another disappointment.
Very,
Thanks,
very,
Microsoft.
very true. And unfortunate. So
And unfortunate.
Because you may want this next device, but you may not want the
Well,
things that come with it.
I was just thinking
and
the
that's
same
true.
thing, Joel. So we do have another story coming up here, right? So Microsoft is uh, apparently working on smaller Surface Pro and Surface Laptop devices, and they're going to be
Wow.
Snapdragon X based chip. I wish they would. My understanding is going to be Snapdragon Plus. I wish they were going to be Elite, but okay,
Hmm.
the Plus is still a decent chip, and they're going to be very small. They're talking about like 11 inches small, theoretically to compete with things like Apple's 11-inch tablets and whatnot. And I get that, and I would like a smaller Surface. That'd be a nice little portable device to be hauling around. I don't like, and the same thing I didn't like about the original MacBook 12-inch, which I love that device, but they killed it because they used a lesser processor in it. I wish they wouldn't do that here, but that's
Hmm.
kind of what they're doing.
Hmm.
So I don't think it's so much lesser that people are going to go, oh, this is unusable, but uh, come on, you could, I'm wondering what else they're going to skimp on. I hope not too much, because otherwise it could be a very cool device for folks. So smaller Surface Pro laptop, Surface laptop, smaller Surface Pro. That's supposedly coming. I think it's been sort of rumored for a while now.
Right.
But if they make a decent product out of it, hey, I think it'll be better than the current Surface Laptop Go, which has a very weak processor in it. I think it'll be an improvement over that, but we'll have to see. That's coming, but it's something nice the rumor says they're definitely coming soon, supposedly. So uh, anyway, that's what I've been seeing. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah, and this next one, I kind of I'm a big Bloom County fan. All right, and I
Yes, you
remember
are.
a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, there was a little Oliver was sitting there with his watching TV, and there was a commercial for a new version of the computer that he had that now offered tint control tint control on the display. And he
Okay.
went into his bedroom, picked up all of his equipment, and threw it in the trash, and indicating that hackers don't handle obsolescence well. All right.
Yeah.
So Windows, this particular next story made me think of that particular comic again because it feels like a tint control ad. All right. Or addition rather, not an ad with a single D, but an ad with a double D. All right. Um, Microsoft is adding the battery percentage to the Windows 11 taskbar, which I thought was kind of an interesting sort of go. All right, because you'll soon be able to show your PC's battery percentage directly on the taskbar.
But you can already get it now by hovering the mouse cursor over the battery icon. So it's
Like I
not like it's not there.
like I said, we don't handle obsolescence well.
No, we don't. No.
That's- but from the graphic that's being shown is that there is right next to the battery icon
Yeah.
with its either charging icon and you know growing white space throughout the black edge of the battery indicating that it's getting fuller and fuller or swap that while you're on battery power, all right, decreasing white space and more black in it as showing as you use the battery. There is a percentage number right next to the
Yeah.
battery icon.
But they're selling it almost as if they're selling this new feature almost as if we had no way to get this information before, like it's a new thing, a marvelous revelation, and it's not.
Well, first of all,
Mhm.
I would not have put out even a press release
Yeah, I wouldn't
on
either.
this being a big deal because
No,
it's not.
it's a
Number
little
one,
thing. It's a
it's
little
a little
tweak.
thing that might warrant a bullet in a larger press release about something else.
Or
All
maybe
right,
just a larger press release about some new features in a
features
list
in
that are
Windows
coming out.
11, right?
Yeah, that are coming
Right,
out.
and I
But
would put it near the bottom of the feature ad and not something that
I would
near the
too.
top. All
This is
right,
crazy. But
because
I mean,
this is
I'm glad they're doing it, but so what?
yeah.
You know,
So it's kind of um
you got bigger fish to fry, Microsoft. This is kind
I
of
do, and
silly.
I might add this, have you spin the big wheel on this one for the
I'm I'm
mistake-a-thon
I'm
because
real I'm kind of close to that. I don't think it's a mistake in and of itself, but I think the way it's being presented is a mistake. So a half mistake, you know, you get kind of an anemic spin out of
yeah,
that. Yeah, how's that?
you
Yeah.
know, it kind of bothers me um with all of this shtick and stuff that's going on
Mm.
in um in Windows. I it's almost as though the boat is wandering all over the lake. There's nobody driving the boat.
You
All
got a
right.
boat? I didn't even get a boat.
Well,
I
I even got one with I don't think I got one. If I got one, I don't have a steering wheel on it. All right. It
Good
doesn't
for
have a
you.
rudder. It doesn't have a rudder. All right. Because I have no idea where the hell this thing is going.
Or
All
any
right.
of that. I mean, and I say when I agree with you, but when I say that, I really mean the larger. What the heck is Microsoft doing with Windows? And what do they think they're doing with
What
Windows?
do they
That
think they're doing with Windows and how do they think? See, I think all of the efforts with Copilot and OpenAI that they've been undertaking over the last 6 to 8 months minimum, all right, has all been about how can I make more money
how
with
do I
Windows
steer you to
11?
my services? How do I steer you to
How
my
do I how do
services?
I how do I screw you
Yeah,
into using my services? How do
and
I
and,
go ahead and
and
force
people.
you all right,
I
not
mean,
about making Windows better for consumers. It's
no.
all about how can I get you
You
to
know,
how can I get you to give me more money?
I don't have a lot. I mean, I'll be honest. I don't have a lot of faith in consumers to make decisions that are in their own
Oh,
benefits. But
oh.
even with that, Microsoft, this is pretty kind of scuzzy behavior. I'm just getting tired of it.
Well, it's getting to the point where I love my Surface devices. You guys know me. I love my Surface devices. I
Yeah, me too.
really,
You and
really
me
do.
both. You and me both.
You know what really, and I know Joe, you had a Surface Pro 6, right? And
Yeah, I still do.
how do you like it? Is it worth it still work running Windows?
It is. I haven't gotten the itch to put Linux on it yet.
Well, and
But
that and that should
and
say
I don't
something to
honestly use it that much. Right.
well,
And
honestly, but you not having the itch to put Linux on it yet should still say something, right?
Right.
It's still doing a decent job with the Windows version that it has on it, number one. And number
Which is
two,
11.
it
right?
does run
Right.
11. Yeah.
Yep.
Right. But the thing that I'm trying to point out here is, hey, it's interesting that for somebody who's so into Linux and uses Linux as their primary operating system, that device, which is probably circa 2019,
Yep.
2018, um, you're still finding value in with Windows on it, which I think is cool.
When I use it, yes. Yep.
All right.
It's not sluggish. It's a good device. It was a really good
No.
device for the time. You know,
Yep. It
Agreed.
still isn't. I mean, it's still very usable.
very much so. I
It's
agree.
sitting on my work desk along with my Raspberry Pi, and I'm gonna be honest, I've been using it more than I have the Surface. Not
Yeah,
because
that's
it's
the case.
faster, just because I'm just using it more. It's just
Yep,
there, and
I'm with
I
you.
don't have to flip the screen down, the
Right.
keyboard down, to use it, and and I never really used the tablet feature as much in the Surface Pro 6, but I like it, and I would buy another one. Probably my biggest complaint about the Surface Pros have been the fact that they don't have discrete graphics cards in them. They're all the Intel
They
card.
They don't,
So,
and it kind of sucks. But the interesting thing, though, is that honest to God, I just don't understand.
I don't understand where they're going here,
No,
or where they think they're going.
I really just don't, and it's making me really happy that I was really more over the last 5 to 7 years. I'm really more Mac than I am Windows, because it's really making me want to steer away from all of that and get rid of the hardware.
I think it's doing that to a lot of people, and whether they're Mac or Windows user, I mean, they're asking themselves, how much longer am I going to put up with this? That's the question people are asking themselves, I think, and
Right.
and that's not the place that Microsoft wants to be. Even if they haven't made the leap yet, they're asking themselves, what do I, if this keeps going, what do I do?
Right.
Because it's driving everyone nuts.
It is.
So
I don't understand.
but I don't get the why. Yeah.
Because
why keep pushing this? People are not liking this.
No. So the last story in this particular segment is more along the lines of me wanting you to spin the big wheel again, Chris.
You want me to spin the wheel again?
Could you spin the wheel for me?
What are we spinning the wheel for? Let me see. Okay, here we go.
All right. What you can't hear, because it didn't come across, at least on my speakers, was Chris going, making a raspberry sound.
A motorboat. The motorboating sound.
Motorboat. Okay, great. What did we land on, Chris?
Let's see. What have we landed on? Oh, we've landed on I can't see this.
I can't,
right?
Which is true. I can't read that. Yes, I can't read or see this. So apparently, Microsoft, and this is just awesome. All right.
Oh.
Apparently, they've got a graphic designer who, for some reason, has a nice, big, huge, high resolution display designing their icons, and on the lower resolution ones that most people in the world have, at least in businesses, and especially at home, the Copilot, Copilot's new MS or M365 icon.
That's the Office icon. That's not Copilot. That's Office's icon.
No, is that Office's icon? Because
no, it's Microsoft 365 app.
Yeah, it's Office.
Okay, the Microsoft Office 365, because it really looks like a Copilot icon.
Because remember, it's not called Office 365. It's called Microsoft 365.
Copilot's new app icon.
Because that's the new version of Microsoft Office. That's what it's called. Microsoft 365 Copilot is the current name.
Right.
Of Office?
It is. I kid you not.
Chris, can you do me a favor and spin the big wheel?
Bullshit that we didn't want.
And what did we land on, Chris?
WTF is that?
I'm going to be honest here, though. I have the app open on. I have a 4K display on my laptop here.
Yeah.
I still can't freaking read the number.
Yeah. See,
so it's not a 1080p thing.
It's interesting that they've changed the MS Office icon from that 3D Mobius strip that they had, right, to a Copilot
icon with 365
with the M365
It is
in a black rounded rectangle.
And again, in a marketing ploy, it's called Microsoft 365 Copilot, and that is Microsoft Office, the all-in-one app. That's what this is. Yeah,
because Microsoft 365 Office is now Microsoft 365 Copilot. Honest to God. Sometimes I really wonder who the hell is running the marketing department over there, and do they know how to spell the word marketing? All right. Do they know the first thing about marketing? We don't care. Users don't care about Copilot. They aren't, and they aren't going to use it, kids. They aren't. And here's the other thing. Most schools aren't going to allow kids to use Copilot anyway.
It's against academic policy to use AI.
Yes.
So I mean, it's great. It's nice. It's there, but you
No,
can't
it's
really
not
use it
because you're not going to be
anyway.
able to use the feature. You aren't going to be able to use the feature.
Nope.
Correct.
All right.
Ah,
And then again, there are going to be companies, um, in the regulated world, in the regulated industries that aren't even going to touch that with a 10-meter cattle prod.
absolutely true.
They won't go near it. So I don't get why are you forcing me down this road?
Chris, I'm tired of the merry-go-round for the night. Can we stop? Can we stop the merry-go-round portion
Stop
of
the ride. You want to get off?
I want to get off the ride
Yeah.
because we have better things to talk about. We have good
Why?
things to talk about.
And here's something that I want to. I'm excited to actually get into, and this is on the tip of the week segment. All right, that I'm going to go ahead and move us to. And before we get there,
Thank you.
again, you're welcome. Again, I want to remind everybody that iTechGear was founded with the intent of making technology easy for everyone to use and understand. All right, this team specifically is dedicated to writing careers to that purpose, and every week we have the iTechGear Weekly will feature a new computing tip authored by one of our experienced editors. This week it's me. You know who it was? You know who it's going to be next week? Probably me. But questions.
I think we need to make Dr. Mr. McJunkin do this next week.
Hey, that's a great idea.
I mean,
Yeah.
he was voted off the island since he isn't here this week.
Well, he's voted back on when he provides.
Let's vote exactly. Let's encourage him to participate.
There we go. Questions, requests, suggestions can be sent to tips@itechgear.org. And if you do, I'll go ahead and send us something and we use it on the air. We will definitely give you your 15 seconds worth of fame. It's 15 seconds now as opposed to 15 minutes because it's all about the internet, kids.
Well, I thought it was budget cuts. We couldn't afford 15 minutes anymore.
Right.
Budget cuts. Very good. I like that. So this week, I got some gift cards for Christmas, and I have a pair of AirPods Pro, but they're Pro ones, and my oldest son, I think, has confiscated those and has taken them to places unknown. And at this point, I think I had decided it's probably time anyway on my part. So I went and I took my gift cards and I, skipped tra-la down the road to Best Buy and used my gift cards to buy myself a pair of AirPods Pro 2. Now, one of the interesting things about this particular set of AirPods is that they can be used as hearing aids. I mean, you can go ahead. You see people all over town, all day, every day, with AirPods in their ears all the time.
They do.
And it's not that they're necessarily listening to something. They just stuck them there in some cases, and they just leave them there because they're comfortable and they don't hurt. All right. In some cases, they may be listening to something. I know my son walks around the house with one in his ear. All right.
I never understand that, but I've seen that.
Listen to his content, but yet still hear those things around him, right? Well, with AirPods Pro 2, you don't have to do that. Not only will it allow you to go ahead and actually have Apple Intelligence run a sense of monitoring on the sounds around you and theoretically automatically increase or decrease your ability to hear what you're listening to or the conversation in the background. It's also got, because it can do those intelligent kind of things, it can also be used as a hearing aid. And I said to myself, that is probably a good idea because you do have a set of hearing aids that really didn't work out well for you. And you do have some level of hearing loss. Well, I went and I set up the hearing aid feature and I thought, this might be a really great idea to let the people know about. All right. Now, AirPods Pro will cost you anywhere between, depending on where you get them and what kind of special may be running. You can get them from anywhere from about 200 to 249.95, either from Apple or from a third party. And when you do set them up, it takes you through all of the new features that the new hardware will allow. And one of them is the hearing aid feature. In order to set this up, they tell you to make certain that your AirPods are sufficiently charged. So I would get them well above the 50% mark, probably close to being fully charged. All right. And then with your earpods in your ears and connected to your paired iPhone or iPad, go to settings, your AirPods. All right. And then tap the hearing assistance feature. All right. If you hadn't taken their hearing test, go ahead and take the hearing test, and it will take you through in both ears the same kind of hearing test that you would get perhaps if you remember at Sears a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away for those folks that are older, or at your audiologist's. Can you hear these high, low, medium beeps in your ears? All right, and it will do it with the left side. It will do it with different octave sounds, starting from low to high, and then they'll mix them up. High, low, high,
Yep.
lower, higher, higher. Et cetera, et cetera, and it'll do that with both ears. All right, and then it will uh, allow you to set up um, how you want to configure your hearing aid. All right. So to set that up, after you take the hearing test, you tap Get Started, and then you tap Next, because you're all in this applet, if you will. That's a pop over in settings. All right, and you turn the hearing aid turn it on, and depending on your test results, you might be prompted to turn on media assist instead of hearing aid. All right. Or you turn on the hearing aid, and what it will do is you will hear more background noise, or more background than you will just noise suppression, right? They do tell you that it can take time to get used to this, and you do have the ability to adjust the amplification level balance in your AirPod Pro settings. All right. With your AirPods in your ears and then connected to the paired device, you go to settings, your AirPods, and then tap hearing assistance under hearing health. And you've got a setting for noise control. You've got some information on hearing health and the ability to take the hearing test again, et cetera. You've got a way to balance how you hear it, and they've even got an adapter for AI, Apple Intelligence assisted sort of way of learning how you're hearing and what you're hearing, and then it should adjust things over time. It should adjust things for you. All right. There's a lot here, and this is not something that is done in like 3 steps. And it will also allow you to go ahead and, again, set things up for either hearing media or other phone calls or content through your phones while still hearing the outside world talk through the hearing aid function. You've also got the ability to adjust the controls on your Apple Watch if you have an Apple Watch. There's a lot here. I've got the support article from Apple in the show notes. If you have a set of AirPods Pro 2s and you are interested in using them as a hearing aid and trying that out, seeing if it works for you, to save you from having to go ahead and use hearing aids or professional hearing aids that can cost you thousands of dollars for 200 to $250. It's not a bad deal here, kids. So that is our tip of the week. and it's very well documented. I've written how-tos my entire life, and it is very well documented. So it'll help you set up hearing aids, media assist, and help you configure these things the way you want. It would be really, really nice, and I don't know if it can do this yet or not because I'm still playing around with this, but it would really, really be nice if there could be some way to easily set it back to what your hearing test results were so that after you've experimented and maybe you decide, well, this isn't exactly what I want. There should be a quick way of getting back to the baseline. I don't know what that is off the top of my head, and I also don't know if it's in this article or not. But it's something that I'm going to be taking a look at, and if I do find it, I will bring it up on a future episode of the iTechGear Weekly. Going to go ahead. Are there questions, concerns, comments? Am I the only person here that is suffering from some level of hearing loss?
Yes. Oh, wait a minute. You couldn't hear me. Let me say that louder.
Yeah. Thank
No,
you.
but I will say, I also have these, and it's very nice. Even if it isn't you, it might be a family member,
Right.
that you want to share this with.
Right, because that could be. I know that there were a number of, when they announced this, they had a number of different sort of featurelets, if you will, and
Yeah.
one that kind of struck me. Grandma couldn't hear, or abuela couldn't hear everybody singing her happy birthday. All right, until her son got her some AirPods Pro 2s, turned on the hearing aid feature, and then she could hear everybody singing her happy birthday, which is awesome.
Yeah, I have family members who have trouble hearing, so it's nice. I like this for
Huh?
them. Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I like this. I like this for them.
Yeah, it's really kind of cool. So
It's not. It doesn't solve everything that the more
no,
expensive
and
ones will. But I'll tell
it
you what,
doesn't.
for a lot of people though,
This
this
is the
is just
stuff.
enough.
This
Yeah.
is enough,
And we
right?
couldn't do this even a few years ago. I mean, forget what Apple did here, but getting that kind of feature set out of
Right.
something in this price point just didn't happen
No,
for
no,
you. The attempts they made to do this, other people made to do this, weren't
mhm.
great. They were
No,
not great solutions.
no, and they
So,
really did a good job with this because
so
not
this
only
is huge.
the professionalism in the setup for the hearing aid test, for the hearing test is awesome. All right.
Very nice. Very nice.
So it is absolutely just wonderful that they're able to do this, and
So
I
we're looking
think
forward to it.
they did this right. So
Yeah, we're all looking forward to it.
yeah. Anyway, so I'm going to move us to our pick of the week segment. And again, I just want to take a moment to remind everybody that our show picks are typically hardware, software, and other items of interest that we have individually purchased and actually used, and that we like enough that we want to recommend them to you, our growing listener base. These are not paid advertisements or items with which we have any kind of affiliated marketing relationship with. If they were, the editorial policy over at iTechGear.org indicates that we have to disclose that to you guys up front. These are just silly things that we believe in, and we want to bring them to you at the end of each show. Why?
Because we like you.
Oh, that's the best yet. So this week I've got the pick again. All right, for the pick of the week. So it's my turn, and I want to go ahead and recommend a nice little additional app store for Mac called SetApp. All right, now this is a app store that you buy a membership to, and you get the ability to use every single application that they give you access to. And they add new apps all the time. Right now, I believe their store has up to 250 different applications available. Things like, hold on a minute. Let me grab the app here real quick.
Well, it looks like they have things like
Bartender,
Yoink,
things like
Bartender, Yoink.
or Clean My Mac, or iStat menus. If you have any need for any of for one of those kinds of applications, if you buy a membership to it, I believe that you can do it either monthly or annually. Um, you can go ahead and have, I mean, one purchase is it's going to go ahead and it's going to be worth the entire subscription price. I've been using this probably since 2018, 2019, and it is absolutely fabulous. One license for one Mac will cost you $10 a month. Um, one Mac and four iOS devices that you might have is $12.99 a month. They have their power user plan as well for $14.99, which will get you up to four Macs and four iOS devices at the same time. So if you've got more than one Mac, or if you've got more than one family member using a Mac, or you want to get access to these applications on all of your Macs and all of your iDevices, it's not a bad deal. I use the power user version. I've got them on multiple Macs. I've got Bartender, One Switch, Clean My Mac, iStat menus, iBoysoft Magic Menu, as well as their NTFS driver for Mac. Um, They've got a whole bunch of other kinds of things
Yeah.
that will allow you to optimize your Mac, that are work app based applications, creative applications. If you are a developer and have a need for a development tool, they've got a section for that, and then they've got a new section that will allow you to solve problems or do things with AI as well. So they've got
And,
AI based applications, and
and
quite
these are
honestly,
fundamentally utilities, but
yeah.
these little widgety kind of utilities, some of them are well-known kind of utility apps that have been around for a while. It's a really good, interesting mix of things.
It is, and if you really want to get into what they've got, I thought that they had, I thought that they had, um, for, I thought I
Hmm.
saw Ulysses on here, which is
Ulysses is on here.
yeah,
It is on the list. It's near the
I
top.
thought, yeah, Ulysses, which will allow you to write a book, as well as um, uh, create and publish all from a single app. You can write and publish from this particular app. So really a nice, cool app that usually by it, in and of by itself is pretty pricey. All right.
Yeah.
So, one of these things that costs, more than $50 or more than $100 for a single license. You buy one license for $10 a month, and you've got access to all of this stuff. So if you're interested in it, not a bad idea to give it a shot. Um, so Set App, and it is available at setapp.com, which is kind of cool.
Well, there you go.
So there you go. And that, kids, that's the show for this week. This has been the iTechGear Weekly, episode number 119, Getting Tired of the Merry-Go-Round, recorded live Sunday, January 26, 2025, live from iTechGear Central. As I said, I'm Christopher Spera, and for Brother Joe McLaughlin, Mr. Chris Gavula, and our missing in action Dr. Mr. Larry McJunkin,
Who will be back?
who will be back on the island at some point.
He will be back on the island.
Yes. This is Christopher Spera saying, hey, have a great week, and we'll see you next time.